Shalom, unicorns. It is Ellie, the Empress here. And so today is December 15th, 2023, and this marks my 2-year mark of no dingaling. Okay? And when we speak about topics like abstinence, celibacy, no fap, refraining from things like masturbation and casual sex hookup culture, and everything like that. Like, it sounds really conservative. It's like, oh, that's religious. Oh, you know, you're not sexually liberated and you don't want to have fun. It's like, nah. It's just I learned. I learned from all that. I learned. And a lot of people who are stuck in those modes simply have not learned. There are some people who can use, that's their sacral chakra, so that's the genitalia and the root chakra. They've learned how to be able to utilize that and just do things for the purpose of getting something done instead of just allowing those energies to use them. However, that's not most people. Let's be honest, that's not most people who can do that. It's not. And while I have learned how I could, if I desire to, that's not my desire. My desire is to have a wholesome family life. So in order to have a wholesome family life, all that stuff that don't fit in there. That don't fit in there. So my experience, I shared with y'all before on this channel. Um, I was married, and before I was married, I had only had 2 sexual encounters. So my husband was the first person who was able to actually birth me a child. My other sexual encounters were, you know, other things that were not like, I couldn't get pregnant from that sort of thing. So according to how people calculate body counts and stuff like that, I had 3 bodies when I got married. So my husband was my third body. And after our divorce started really happening, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this whole little thing out here. What people be talking about with this whole culture stuff, like whole face stuff. And I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh, it was absolutely terrible and I hated it. No, it was fun. Cause it's like I'm playing the game with y'all now. Like, my ex, he was a compulsive liar and cheater. So it's like, instead of just being that, he decided to be in a relationship with somebody and still go be that. When I was like, look, I'm poly, we can do this in the honest, righteous way. And instead of doing it in an honest, righteous way, he still decided to lie. Even when I was in that little whole face thing, I was like, I had no reason to lie to anybody, so I'm gonna let these dudes know, like, hey, I'm on bullshit right now. Like, I'm not looking for nothing at the moment. I'm really just like having fun, and it is what it is. And it was like, there was an understanding of that. It was just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do my own thing, you do your own thing. And it was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I did that for like a year because it was like, it's too much. You playing mind games with people, and it's just like everybody's on bullshit. But you know they're on bullshit, so you can't, like, nobody has a right to be mad at anybody. When you know that everyone's actively on bullshit, it's not like a thing where, oh, you did this to me, and there was someone who was trying to treat me like that. I'm like, dude, I'm not your girlfriend. Like, I don't see why you're so upset when you know what I'm on, because I know what you're on too. So, like, why are you mad? And that's one of the things I notice about hoe culture. It's like, people want access to your body and your mind and your energy without commitment, but they want you to be exclusive to them. And it's weird. It's like, if you want exclusivity, you build a solid relationship. You can't fuck around with somebody and think that they're only going to fuck around with you. And people base relationships off that. I noticed that when I was in my shit. I was like, so y'all just do this stuff? Like, y'all just do this? Cause like, when I was younger, I did the whole what's it called? I forgot exactly what it was called, but it was like an abstinence vow, essentially, where it's like a purity ceremony. So at my church, we had like purity rings and stuff. It was like, I would not have sex with anybody until I get married. And it's just like, I almost did it. Like, I was like right at the mark sort of thing, like I said. So it was like one of them type of situations where I just never engaged in that type of behavior. Even when I tried to when I was younger, it just never worked out. So after my divorce started and I started seeing how other people act in the world, I'm like, so y'all just do this? Like, y'all just like to lie? Y'all like to lie to people because there's no reason to do that. Like, if you're gonna be on like, I'm an honest person who is on bullshit right now. I'm honest about it, and it's like open hoes get looked down upon, while cheaters are constantly told like, oh, you should give them another chance. Why? At least one person's honest, the other person's dishonest. I'd much rather go with the honest person because they're doing the same thing. They're doing the exact same thing. One's just honest and one's not. So if we're looking at it in a righteous way, like, really, the person who's honest about it is the one that's righteous in the situation. It's both wrong behaviors. However, one's being honest, the other one isn't. So how can you say that the person who's cheating deserves another chance? They don't. That's a repeated behavior. It takes so much. Like, after dealing with that myself, it's like it takes so much to have sex. It takes so much. You have to find a person. You have to talk to that person. You have to have a conversation with that person. You might go on a date or something. And then you have to like get into that mode of doing things. And then I learned too, a lot of people don't use protection, and I'm just like, so okay. What I disliked the most was when COVID was a thing, because this was the time period it was in. COVID was a thing, and I was watching all these statistic videos about like different pandemics and epidemics that have happened, and they were comparing COVID to like AIDS, HIV, and like other STDs and stuff. And I'm like, so you're telling me that AIDS and HIV was considered to be an epidemic, and it's being compared to COVID, when COVID, we had to wear masks and stuff. Y'all remember that, social distancing and all that other stuff. You had to get tested. I never. Yeah, like that was what people were going through, right? Okay, so that was being compared to STDs. How so? When apparently you could get COVID by standing someone who had COVID and they coughed or sneezed on you. When you have to get undressed or at least pull your pants down and get into that with somebody, and people aren't using condoms or anything. They're not, like, because I'm like, okay, all right. Y'all are asking questions, at the very least asking if anybody having that conversation before getting in bed with somebody. So I was just like, okay. But I was just like, I'm done with that now. And then I got into a relationship. And relationship didn't go well. And so, well, it was okay, and then it didn't end well. I'll say it like that. It did not end well at all. I say it started out well, but it didn't end well. And so after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do me. Which means do me by myself, for me, not like when people say, oh, I'm gonna do me, they think that I'm just gonna go fuck all these people and live my best life. It's like, okay, I didn't know that live your best life was a sexual thing for a lot of people. I didn't know that. So during my abstinence journey, I was like I said, intentionally being abstinent. I'm just like, I'm by myself. I'm chilling. I'm cooler. I'm doing my own thing by myself. Like, this relationship thing didn't work out with this situation, so I'm by myself. And the thing about energy is you don't have to say anything. You don't have to say a single thing. People know when you're available. People know when you're abstinent. People know when you're participating in no fap. People just know that energy just comes off of you. So sometimes they're attracted to it because it's like, oh my gosh, that's such a pure, clean energy, and I want that. Like, I want that for myself. Like, I want that whether it's in a relationship, I want to be around that. Like, you want to be around people. Like, I'm just saying, like, you may not be as open with your friends, as I may be, but I don't like having hoe friends because that energy just rub off on you. And I'm like, look, you can't be a hoe around me. Not for real, for real. Like if you got like a little thing going on in a situationship, like that's one thing. But if you're going from person to person to person to person, that's just not gonna go well for our friendship. Out of the simple fact that my energy is always transmuting and cleansing things. So if I'm just sitting next to you and you're constantly getting your energy rocked, that's because that's all the energy that you've been engaging in with all these other people. And I don't know that. You didn't tell me that. So it's like if I make you uncomfortable, I'm making the demons in you uncomfortable because you got them from other people. Those are STDs, sexually transmitted demons, instead of the diseases. And sometimes the demons can be worse than the diseases. You may not have to go to the doctor, but you may be dealing with something you can't get rid of mentally ever. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like people like to talk about the Jezebel spirit, the succubus and incubus spirits. And it's like, do people really get what that is? I don't think so. I don't think so because those energies will do their best to attach to you. So I'll get into my experience with like someone wanting to take my purity so bad to the point where I now have to sue them. So some of y'all already know about that particular situation where I'm suing a lot of individuals in the so-called conscious community, the spiritual community, the black conscious community, Hotep people. Like, it's a lot of bullshit because people will know this information and then use it against you. So I was around an older gentleman, supposed to be an elder, who teaches on things like the divine feminine and the matriarchy. And he tried to manipulate my situation into getting me to be into a relationship with him. And I was like, I'm not here for that. Like, you told me something totally different before I got here. Now that I'm here, you want to say this. And I'm like, bruh, no, that's not what it is. So thinking that two adult people could consent in an agreement, I did not immediately remove myself from the situation because I'm thinking logically about it. But he had a mission to try to take my innocence. So, despite me being abstinent for 2 years straight now, I was sexually assaulted in the midst of that. I was not penetrated, but I was groped and like fingers were inserted into me in my sleep. And so it was like, even through that contact, it still attached like spiritual shit to me to where I had to do so much energy work to remove that out of my system. And it's like people don't take things like molestation, rape, um, even like different aspects of, especially things like incest, but like just touching people inappropriately, it fucks them up because it's a spirit. Because what possessed the person to do that? It's like you got kids who grow up to be confused about their sexuality because some adult person confused them. And then it's this constant cycle of everybody being gaslighted. Uh, oh, well, you should do this because this is how your sexuality is supposed to be. Well, if their sexuality was supposed to be like that, why did that adult person touch them as a child? Or if their sexuality is supposed to be like that, why did that grown man manipulate them into that situation? If their sexuality is supposed to be like that, why did that teacher fuck that student? Why did this grown married lady have sex with this child, this young man? Why did this high school teacher have sex with the cheerleader? Why did he do that? And then she grows up fucked up mentally because she's thinking she's in love when the grown man knows he's not. They know that that's not real. He knows that. She doesn't know that though. And that's the lack of accountability that we all have as a society. But I'm especially pointing out the aspects of Black people and why we have so many problems. We have so many mental problems, and nobody wants to get real therapy because a lot of Black parents like to lie in the therapy session. So when the children do their best to be honest with the therapist or the counselor, a Black parent will come in and lie and manipulate the situation. So then that child will never be able to get the proper counseling that they need. So that's in general. That's not just sexual abuse, but even also in things like marriages where a person will, because I fell into this too while I was married. I was still having sex with my husband even though he was like actively stepping out because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And once I got to the point where I was just like, nah, then everything changed in our situation. And then what I learned after that period and doing like the little hoe shit or whatever and getting out of my previous relationship is people just don't want to let you go. It's the spirits, but it's the people as well. They'll convolute all types of plans. They'll create all types of scenarios to literally attach themselves to you or bring themselves up into your reality. And I've even had this happen with guys I never slept with. It's literally they can feel my energy so much to where they just are obsessed and will not leave me alone. I've had guys pull up to my house. I've had guys like call me private after I block their phone numbers. I've had guys spam my social media pages. And it's like we had a clear conversation to not contact each other anymore. Yet years later, you're still contacting me after I made it clear that I don't want to be associated with you because I know what type of time you're on. If you were genuinely like, hey, I want to have a family with you and I want to build this empire with you, that's okay. We can have that conversation. But you just want sex. You don't want anything from me for real. You don't want anything. So why are you contacting me? Even with my ex-husband, I found out that he lied about our divorce situation after I paid my money and signed my documents. He refused to turn everything in, and he still just wanted to stay attached to me somehow. So that led me to having to go through court proceedings a different way. It's bonkers because you would think that adult people would be able to have clear, logical conversations and be done with the situation, or even have some sort of understanding and middle ground about a situation. People just lie. They just lie. And then they project and accuse you of being a liar. So while I was being straight up honest about everything, people were accusing me of being a liar because because they were a liar. Because even the whole body count thing, I was talking to one guy and we were just talking about that. It's like, what's your body count? I was like, oh, it's 4. And they're like, that's a lie. I'm like, how? How? Because at first I said, it's 2, 3. Did I say 2 or 3? Yeah. I said it was 2. And they're like, that's a lie. I was like, how? There's like, you got to count this, you got to count that, you got to count that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, it's 4 then. And they were like, nah. And I'm like, I don't consume myself with people. My life is not consumed with how many people I can have sex with, how many people I can be sexually involved with, how many people I like. That's not my life. I did the whole little hoe thing for 1 year out of my entire life because it was like, I just want to see what this is like. I've been faithful my whole life. Every time I was in a relationship, I never cheated. The closest I got to cheating was when I was given permission to do some poly shit, and then it was crazy, that whole situation. But regardless, like stepping out of my relationship and going to go have sex with a person outside of my relationship was never part of my character. And then there's just so many people who just have that as a part of their character. They're just cheaters. And then they accuse you of being just like them. And it's like, I don't know what you see in me. I'm not that. Or they know that you're exactly the opposite of that and they get upset about it and they try to gaslight you into believing something different about yourself to try to change you. That's how deep this goes with the spirit entities. They're just Fucked up. Like there's no other way to describe it. You'll sit there and mind your business for who knows how long, a few months or something, and then people start resurfacing out of nowhere. Then I found out too, the whole standing on business thing. I just don't get why everything got to be perverted and related to sex. Like, oh yeah, my ex contacted me, but I'm standing on business. And it's like, why does everything have to be about relationships? Like, that's the problem. Literally remove yourself from the concept of being in a relationship, and you'll see everything way more clear. Things become a lot more clear when you don't have another person in your ear about anything. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize because they're so consumed with being in a relationship. A relationship is not everything. Of course, once you get into a relationship, everything's beautiful, supposed to be. But a lot of people stay in relationships out of convenience, especially financial convenience and sexual convenience. So it's like, well, we're going to share these bills and have sex with each other because we both want to be pleasured. You do not have to have sex. You don't. Even the Bible says that the true 144,000 are young men who never had sex. That's what it says in the Bible, so don't even come at me. You can research yourself. So I learned a lot over the past couple of years. A lot of people just aren't good people. Black people have a lot of mental issues, and when you do the best to work on yourself spiritually, physically, financially, as a family member, whether you're a mother, if you're a masculine, whether you're a father, a brother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, even your platonic relationships with your friends. It's like being a better citizen and member of society. When you focus on all those things instead of I want to be a girlfriend, I want to be a boyfriend, I want to be a wife, I want to be a husband. Like when you just stop focusing on that and you really just like basically you marry God. Like I made a pact with God. I was like, hey God, I'm gonna give up the dingaling if you do this for me. He said, all right. It's been 2 years now, and I'm waiting on that to happen before I get more dingaling. It is what it is. And then I've also spent 1 year without marijuana too. That's for a different reason. It started off as a fast, and then it turned into something else after that point. So it's been a year without me smoking any weed. So it's like you gotta really sacrifice the things that pleasure you most so you can get to what you really want most. Like I'm not like what I look like in a position where I'm not fully independent by myself and I'm still getting dingling. And that's where a lot of people have it messed up. It's like they think that okay, I can have sex with this person and we all can contribute to the home financially and we all can do this and we all can do that. And it's like no. If you're not financially literate and you don't have a generational wealth plan, you don't deserve to be having sex because what are you adding more children to your home for? People forget that sex is for children, it's not for pleasure. Sex is to create children. Sex is to create a legacy. That's what that's for. So if you're mindlessly having sex and having kids and you got to get on welfare and you got to get help from this place and that place and that place, it's like you're the one making the bad decisions. Just stop having sex. Stop doing it. I'm not going to say it's not hard, but declining a call and ignoring a text message is way easier than trying to deal with the person in your face. Like I said, I was approached in my face sort of thing. Like Brody rolled up to my house sort of thing. So I could have been weak in that moment, but I stayed strong. The devil know what you like too. Like I have a particular type, and that he just matched all of it. But he had his toxic traits, so I couldn't fold for the toxic traits, and I couldn't fold for the promise I made to God anyway. Because like everybody's toxic, but it just depends on the type of toxic you are. I'm toxic because I'll get wrapped up in my work too much, and I'll start ignoring people. I'll start ignoring myself. I'll start ignoring everything outside of my work. And that's where I fall. I fall also of certain lacking certain aspects of emotions. And so a person may feel like I'm being dry with them when really that's just my personality. So I had to intentionally, having a son really helped me, intentionally being more emotional, being more feminine in that aspect. Um, I fail and am toxic in when it comes to when I get angry, because it's like I don't get angry. So if I go from being dry and then I escalate to being angry, then I automatically like resort to like physical violence, because it's like I tried to talk to you and for some reason you act like you don't know what I'm saying. So now I feel like I need to punch you in the face because why aren't you listening? I'm having a logical conversation with you. But a lot of people, I just learned that a lot of people are just emotional and people like to speak with emotions. But I feel like if it's an emergency situation or a serious topic, why do we need emotions in the conversation? But I learned that people are people. I just don't operate like all people. I guess that's Capricorn, Sun type of energy from me, and the fact that I have predominantly masculine points in my birth chart. That's probably what it is. But even when I am talking to masculines, they tend to be more emotional than I am when it comes to serious topics. So that's just where I'm toxic, and it's like certain aspects of what is unattractive about you, it's kind of like the next partner you get is just gonna have to deal with certain things. Certain things are just gonna have to deal with. My partner's just gonna have to deal with the fact that I'm kind of dry, because I know that if I'm not dry, I'm not going to be able to emotionally match the situation properly. So in order for me to communicate properly, I have to stay at a level-headed emotion. I can't do the whole up and down in the conversation thing. Even if they're yelling, I'm just gonna talk like this the whole time. It's like, okay, well, I see you're upset about that. However, I see it from this perspective, and I think we should talk about it this way. That's just how I am as an individual. So if that's dry, no, it's either that or I'm finna sock you in your jaw. Cause what's all the feelings for? We can feel feelings. If we're gonna have a crying session, we can do that, but not while we're talking. If we're gonna have an angry session, you're not finna yell at me, and I'm for sure not finna yell at you, because I'm not finna stop at yelling. So that's why I just don't. But that's the thing, you have to know yourself. And you can't get to know yourself if you're always engulfed in a relationship with someone else, especially a sexual relationship. So a lot of people, they have a struggle with long distance relationships because they just need sex that bad. And it's like you gotta see within yourself why you think you need sex so bad, to where you committed yourself to a long distance relationship, and instead of just breaking up with that person because you can't deal with the distance, you cheat on them. If you can't have the discipline to schedule out when you go and visit your partner, to have your physical touch time, have your bonding time, go on dates and spend time together and have sex, if you can't manage that, don't do it. Either move to where they're at or break up and find somebody else. It's as simple as that. But people make things so complicated. They make it so complicated. I made that sacrifice. I was in a long distance relationship. I said no dingaling from anybody else. It don't matter if I gotta wait a couple of weeks. It was always okay. Other people, it's a matter of maturity, because at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself and be like, am I lying? Am I lying to myself and my partner? If the answer is yes, then fix it. Either be by yourself or break up. But really, I recommend being by yourself. That's what this video is about. It's been 2 years for me, and like just seeing the way that people act, it's like I'm not afraid to get into a new relationship. I just know my standards aren't even like that high, because just want a decent person. A lot of people don't like to be decent people. I realize that because even when I was learning more about Hebrew Israelites and how they pointed out the scriptures where it says that 2/3 will get left behind and the 1/3 will go with the Father, I didn't believe it at first. I was like, nah, like the Bible got to be tweaking because there ain't no way that most people are going to perish. But no, I see it now. I see it now. Most people just don't like being decent individuals. People love to lie. They love to. They love it. It's a game for them. It makes them. It gives them adrenaline. I'm not gonna say it makes them happy because you can't truly be happy when you're lying all the time. But it gives them an adrenaline rush. It gives them dopamine, and they want that feeling so bad. It's like, bro, go meditate. Go figure out who you are in the spirit realm. I know who I am in the spirit realm, and that gives me more gratification than any amount of dingaling ever. So it's about being real with yourself. Like, what are your goals in life? Are you attempting to achieve anything? If you are attempting to achieve something, you're not gonna let anything get in the way of that. So my thing, like, I didn't have a sex problem. It's just I this might be a neurodivergent trait, but like it's not that I overly obsess. It's just I cater to whatever's in front of me so much. So if I have a person in front of me and they are appearing to have all these needs, I'm naturally going to pour into them to the point where I'm gonna forget what I'm doing. So I had to completely remove that, and now I'm aligning with someone who is on the same mission as me, so I don't completely detach from what God has already put in front of me, and I pour into everything that they have and what they have going on. And having more than balance, having stability. Because sometimes if you're balanced, you can get off balance and do this wobbly thing, but you're still balanced because you're wobbling back and forth and it's still balanced. So I'm the type is stability, stillness. I know exactly what's going on. So yeah, it hurts that people we look up to and respect are evil, and they know about all this stuff. Don't think that these people are ignorant to abstinence, celibacy, pure energy, what refraining from masturbation can do, the energy, the power of no fap. Because I'm a female, I don't fap, but it's same thing. Like y'all masculines get it. The power of that. And even when you do exchange sexual energy, not doing it with any and everybody, and doing it with someone who's either right at your power or energy level or someone that's higher than you. Because then your goal, if they're higher than you, you know this, your goal isn't to take from them. Your goal is to enhance them in whatever way you can and learn from them. You can gain from them, but you don't take, you don't steal. You don't intentionally energy harvest. You allow them to pour into you, and that is your fair energy exchange. That's that shit. Hold up. Woo. Ah! Because I'm telling you, I don't just be fucking out here. I be doing some other shit. You know what I'm saying? I be doing other stuff. Like I do everything with intention. So if I'm gonna do that with you, just know your whole life gonna change. But that's probably why these dudes be obsessed with me, cause I changed their life in ways that they never thought they could be changed. But that's for my husband. That's not that you can't. Especially if you a goddess and you know what your energy be doing to people, you can't just. Mm-mm, mm, but keep that to yourself and keep it with your dude. Especially if you got celestial water powers. Yeah, goddess. Yeah. Keep that. Everybody don't need to experience that. Everybody needs to experience that with you. Everybody don't need that splash splash. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm glad to share this with y'all because a lot of people don't know how serious it is to refrain from having sex recklessly. Because I don't get it with the whole STDs thing anyway. Like, you should just want to be careful, and then the whole thing of people getting abortions and stuff all the time. Like, I just think that's weird, honestly. Like, I get it to an extent, but just stop having sex with people you don't want to have children with. I don't get it. Stop having unprotected sex with somebody you're not married to. I don't get it. Me personally, I don't get it. Because it's like there's a lot of children born out here to parents who don't love them because the parents didn't love each other. So don't put your child into that predicament. It's really that simple, quite honestly. And then on top of that, you shouldn't have to think about a child all the time. Think about yourself. What do you feel about the situation? Do you love that person in that way? No, don't have sex with them. It's really the simplest thing to me, but because I'm the type of individual where I can sleep in the same bed naked with somebody and not have sex with them. Like, people were confused on the way that I interact with not just masculines but even feminists, because people do they do with all types of people, and it's like, nah, I don't have to have sex with a person. I can live with them, I can cuddle with them, I can do anything with them other than have sex with them, because I know what that does. It manifests. And if that person is not an intentional co-creator with me, I don't need to co-create with them. Because even if you don't create a physical baby, you create some sort of spirit baby. And we don't need, even with all the spirit babies we got out here, a lot of them are struggling. They're trying to come and be physical babies. So you got to have your stuff straight before you create spirit babies, and then manifest them into the physical as physical children. So yeah, I'm gonna go to may this have encouraged anybody, and just if you needed an extra boost of that, there you go. Keep your energy for yourself and what you got going on. All right. Shalom, rainicorns. I will see you in the next one. Tawara. That means thank you in Hebrew.